Powley, I'm the owner of Pharm in Margate, and we're just celebrating our 10-year anniversary. I'll be honest, I didn't really want to open a skate shop. I was running out of career options, I guess. Like I'd worked in skateboarding so long, and I was at a point where I was working at Vans and I knew that wasn't going to last forever, and I was having a child, so I was like, I kind of don't want to be away all the time, but I do still want to do skate stuff, so sort of accidentally opened a skate shop. And
where does your name come from?
Can't remember. It was Skate Pharmacy, and then we got in hot water with the Pharmaceutical Council or something, because the word pharmacy is trademarked. It's one of the few words in the British language that's trademarked. It's to stop people passing stuff off as medicine. They were like, we can see you're not trying to pretend to be a pharmacy, but you can't call yourself pharmacy.
It seems like this is a perfect location for footfall as well.
Yeah, but that's because you're here on a sunny day. Like, come here in February and tell me that, like, the wind blows through the front door at like 40 miles an hour. The rain will hit the back wall if we leave the door open. It's like, I've had to shut a couple of days to go home because it was so cold I thought I was going to die. But yeah, February, November is like awful. Yeah, it's pretty depressing. But yeah, seaside economy, it's really tough.
When did you start?
I started skateboarding in, I think, about 86, like around the sort of time Back to the Future, Police Academy started featuring skateboarding, but before that I was like riding BMX and stuff, like mostly racing, like not park stuff, and then just had skateboard. But what was rad, where I grew up, we had at my school, we had banks that were basically the same as South Bank, so that's pretty much, and the caretaker was cool with us skating there. Go South Bank at the weekends, and then from there sort of skating around London, and then when we really quickly got into skating transition, so then it was like Rom, then Leon C, and then pretty much from there, and then I guess I started working in the skateboard industry about 30, and then been doing that for like, so I'm like 52 now, so I've done like 25 years of working in the skate industry.
On that note, and not to make you feel old, but my first DVD was straight to video.
Right.
And it had the Vans tour.
Case is just a nightmare. He's basically like the worst brother you ever had. He knows that I get all the ladies. I'm the real looker of the tour, and basically he finds me a threat.
So I was just going to ask like about those times, because were you team manager?
No, that was before I was team manager. So that sort of leads on, that's indirectly how I became team manager. If you want a bit of advice, get a van. If you've got a van, people just ask you to do stuff. So yeah, I was working at this record company. I was a graphic designer at a record company, and they made me redundant, but they just bought out a printing place. So they had this van that they weren't using and a load of computer gear, and I was like, look, like the boss kind of mugged me off with no like redundancy pay, but I was like, well, I'm taking a van and a computer. So that first Vans tour was run for an agency, and that a lot of the guys that worked there was people that I skated with. And then they were like, oh, you've got a van. Do you want to come on a Vans tour? And I was like, yeah, like, why wouldn't I? So yeah, I went on 2 Vans tours just because I had a van. I mean, industry-wise, it's probably like tougher than ever to run an independent shop. But I mean, like from that side of things, overall, like I really like where skateboarding is generally, because you know, it's kind of branched out into all these different things. You kind of got, you know, like the sort of heavy comp dudes or like all this stuff. During the 90s, it was like, you know, there was guys that only skated blocks, or like, and if you didn't skate a certain way, like if you grabbed your board or whatever, or like, and like, you know, now you'll get someone do like tray flip down the stairs and then the next trick's like an early grab or something, and like, I kind of like, I don't like early grabs, but I kind of like that, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty cool that, yeah, it's like real, you know, like, everyone's just doing their own thing, and I don't know, I think skating's sort of in a pretty healthy space. Yeah, we got a team. So when I started, because I was still at Vans when I started the shop, so I got a lot of the guys, Chris Vile, Ross McGowan, those guys were riding for the shop. But then kind of as we've gone on, it's more like, nah, like it's really hard having guys in like Birmingham or like whatever, like you can't do a lot with them, you know, they feel like they're not connected to the show. It doesn't make a lot of sense to have a team all over the place, and like it was really cool, but it's like now we just help out some local people and just try and do that really. You know, they made the fish supper video last year.
What's the best thing about owning a skate shop?
The best thing is probably when you get that kid come in for their first skateboard, and they, especially if they come in and they don't know anything, or they're just asking you for something really and you're like, nah man, you don't want that. Yeah, this is a good story. There's a kid called Ethan that came in with his mate. He came in and they were real young, real shy, and he was like, yeah, you got any Revive boards? I was like, mate, you don't want that. His mate left with a Zero board and he left with like a Polar board, and he's the guy that just did the graphics for like Skateboard Cafe, all the doodle graphics and stuff, and he ended up like sort of pen paling with Pontus and stuff, and they were exchanging art. So like from that conversation, he kind of went on a, you know, a certain path, and like you don't realise that just selling someone their first board and being like straight with them or whatever, like might affect how they are, how their whole skateboarding journey goes. Probably the best thing. Like when you see that you've had a positive impact at some point on their skateboarding or their experience of skateboarding.
You saved that boy's life.
Yeah, imagine. He could be running a YouTube channel now skating on guitars if I hadn't said that.
What's the worst thing about owning a skate shop?
I mean, that list is, how long you got? Owing money is just awful. I've never been someone that owes money. I don't take bank loans, like credit cards, nothing, but it's almost unavoidable. And then there's so many things that are out of your hand, especially down here, like train strikes, road closures, rain, like all these things have, you know, even to what gigs are going on in town. If you have like a bad gig for a weekend, that takes up all the hotels, and like, you know, say it's Status Quo or something, that crowd ain't buying anything in there. I actually love dealing with skateboarders. Like there's skateboarders come in, they're like kind of respectful of the shop, and like they're cool. You know, you're on a level with them. But some of the people that walk in, like general public, you're just like, what planet are you from? What is wrong with you? And the other one that I really hate as well is the dads coming in before Christmas, and they think they're, you know, they're generally my age, a bit younger, and they think they're really smart. Like they're asking you all the questions. You can almost see them saving the info on their phone because they're going to go and try and buy it on Amazon cheaper. But you just be like, yeah mate, what you need is like you probably need a board about 42-inch long and about 18-inch wide, something like that for a 6-year-old. You just give them all the wrong info. It's like, mate, I'm not a free consultancy service. The thing with the skate park in Margate is it's a really long running thing. There's been different phases of it. Fast forward on to start a lockdown, it actually came through Kate's wife, Kat. I think through someone she was teaching Pilates to, we're like, oh, there's this town deal fund you should put in for skateboarding. We got accepted like straight away. But I mean, in typical council form, the first thing they said to me, like, we asked for £1 million at the first thing, and they said, what's the least you can do it for? I said, if that's your attitude, like, I'll walk out now, because I ain't wasting my time. I've got no interest in building a 50 grand skate park, like, because as well with the town deal, there's sort of targets for it to bring tourism to the area, to improve the area, and you're not going to do that with like a 50 grand park. So that was like the first of many times that I threw my toys out of the pram, put my foot down. The thing that we're hoping will be different about the skate park is, like, we've got massive community support, and there's hope that we want to have a building there, and rather than, because it's going to be sort of myself, Dan, and then you've got Kane that runs Scorcher Skate School, you know, like, we've got quite a tight little core scene, and it's really like, rather than just build a skate park and just leave it, we want to build it and then develop, you know, like an annual Margate Open kind of event, and, you know, regular coaching, regular events, like all this stuff that, you know what it's like, you build an amazing park and then just leave it. You know, what's the point of spending £1 million on something and then not really doing anything with it? You know, as part of the town deal, it's like, you know, like, we all know that skateboarding can like change your life and like change people's lives, and like even the people that are like, yeah, they might have only got to the stage where they can like ollie or kickflip, but then they got into filmmaking, or then they got into art, or then they got into a band, or like all this stuff, and that all comes out from a good skate scene. Just to have one world-class park that everyone can kind of, you know, you can go there and there'll be people to skate with and like people to hang out with. It will change skateboarding in this area, and we do seem like pretty far behind the rest of the country for that.
You worked or had an association with Skateboard GB, and I wondered if you wanted to talk about that and what that looked like.
There's someone that does need to get loads of props that I think their name doesn't probably come up enough in this stuff, is Kevin Parrott. So many years ago, forgive me if any of these facts are wrong because we're going back about 25 years, Kevin set up UK Skateboard Association. His main interest was stopping parks getting built. He wanted like concrete parks to be built. You know, within, I think, a year of Kevin like doing that stuff, there was hardly any more like metal or wooden parks getting built. Everyone just moved to concrete. So it like achieved its goal really quickly, but then I can't remember what Kevin was doing and he sort of moved on something else and it sort of fell to me. Even at that point, we knew the Olympics was likely and we knew there was an issue with the Roller Skate Federation that they kind of claimed, the minute we sort of put our heads above water, they claimed that they were in charge of skateboarding, but they had no skateboard like credentials whatsoever. So that was always in the back of my mind. And I probably for 10 years like told people this is a storm on the horizon, this is a problem that's coming, and no one listened, no one really gave a. You know, like there was the odd people like Ben Powell that, you know, like we had the UKSA column in Sidewalk and stuff, but yeah, I think people didn't really see, there was very few people like Wingy, a handful of other people that saw this problem coming, but people just didn't care at that point. And then the minute the Olympics came up, they popped their heads up and were like, yeah, and then it became a problem. So for years, I'd just run UK champs. Like, yeah, I had really good memories of all the Radlands and St Albans events, and I'd been doing loads of events, and I'm like, I wonder if I can just start a championships, and like, yeah, it's like, if people believe in it, then it's the championship. So we just started doing it. So I was still doing that, I think, and when I started the shop, I probably hadn't done one for a year or two because I just had too much going on. And then James came to see me with Jerome Campbell about setting up Skateboard England. So I was like founding board member with Jerome Campbell, Wingy, Lucy, I'm guessing was on there. Mate, I can't remember. But yeah, so I did like 4 years of that. And then I interviewed for the skateboard, for the team manager, the job that Daz now did. And Daz got the job, sick. Daz has smashed it, but I kind of felt like, yeah, that's my journey now. I've got loads of other stuff going on. At the peak of kind of rowing with the Roller Sports Federation, and while all that was going on, I was probably doing like 40 hours a week, Skateboard GB stuff, like unpaid, or Skateboard England stuff, unpaid, on top of trying to run my shop and like not getting any sleep because I had a baby and it was just too much for my mental health. Like, it was just too much to deal with, and I was just like, I didn't get into this to be this kind of exhausted and depressed. Like, I was like, it's just not. Yeah, and at that point, like Skateboard England turned into Skateboard GB was like, Neil had started, or they were starting to get staff. It was like, well, you don't need me to be suffering anymore. You can just crack on with it, like, and it, you know, it is what it is now. It's like, it's good to see. Honestly, so where I'm at with it is, and this is what I told people at the time, because I had like random stuff, like people like, what, Skateboard GB going to be turned up at the skate park drug testing me? And I'm like, are you mental? Like, you know, people thought people were going to be turned up from Skateboard GB like, no, you can't skate like that. You're like, man, like, this is grown adults. You're like, you're an idiot. It's like how much the FA has, impact the FA has on some kids kicking a football around in a park. Like, you can have as little or as much interest in Skateboard GB as you want. You know what I mean? Like, and it's great for people that want to coach. It's great for people that want to go to the Olympics. You know, it's employed a bunch of skateboarders. And yeah, I'm not saying it's perfect, but like overall seems to be doing a good job. And like I say, like very little of what Skateboard GB has any direct impact on me like day to day. So I think that's what it should do. If you want to be down a park drinking a beer and doing slappies, then cool. Like, it shouldn't be affecting you, because that's not the side of skateboarding or what you need it for. But if it's in there in the background doing work, getting more skate parks built, and you don't even really know about it, then that's what it should be. I mean, I'll just, thanks to everyone that's done me favours over the years, everyone that supplies the shop, everyone that's skated for the shop, everyone that's bought anything in the shop. Yeah, that's about it really. Just thanks skateboarding, I suppose.